Let's turn to domestic politics and a huge week, in some ways, one of the biggest weeks yet in terms of the Republican primary. Let's start with Trump's primary rival here, Ron DeSantis. He just had a pretty revealing call with donors, put this up on the screen, where he made his strongest case yet against Trump. Now, let's just pause for a moment and note the grotesqueness of American politics, where your most sort of direct and honest comments come to a bunch of billionaire donor class elites, but that is the reality that we live in here. The headline is, Biden and me, DeSantis privately tells donors Trump can't win. In a phone call with top donors, the Florida governor took his most direct shots yet at Donald Trump. He is expected to officially enter the presidential race. This article says next week. That would be this week. He is expected to enter the race. Let me give you some of the quotes from this call, which, by the way, a New York Times reporter was on. So, certainly intentionally there as well. He said that there were only three, quote, credible candidates in the race. Quote, you have basically three people at this point that are credible in this whole thing, Biden, Trump, and me. And I think of those three, two have a chance to get elected president, Biden and me, based on all the data in the swing states, which is not great for the former president and probably insurmountable because people are not going to change their view of him. He is expected to file paperwork ahead of another donor meeting in Miami, which is happening on May 25th. Today is May 22nd, so you can see it's probably going to be like Tuesday, Wednesday. Right. He's also likely to release a video that will coincide with that official entrance in the week, and it is very intentional that he's launching and then doing this big donor meeting down in Miami. He wants to have this big financial show of force going into the race. But noteworthy, Saagar, in this call, he really didn't talk much about issues, especially some of the issues that have been upsetting to the donor class. That would be Ukraine and abortion in particular. Instead, he's really leaning into his electability argument of, listen, however you feel about Trump, people hate him. The views on him are hardened. I'm the guy that can win. I'm the one who's credible to defeat Biden in 2024. And so that's why you should be on my team.
I mean, I think it's a good case. I think he might even be right. The only problem are the pesky GOP voters who have to decide in the primary. And we've talked about this before. This is going to be a great test as to my theory that Republicans, as far as I can tell, don't care about electability. Or at the very least, care much more about the person that they like than they do about electability.
Yeah.
Because of the past track record where they said, we don't really like McCain. We don't agree with him on a lot. But we'll vote for him because they tell us he's going to get elected. We're like, okay. And then 2012, we hate Obama. We hate him so much. Our heart wants to go with Bachmann. Our heart wants to go with Sarah Palin. Our heart wants to, but the elites tell us Mitt Romney. So we're like, okay, we'll do Mitt Romney. And he loses too. And then they're like, you know what? We're done. We're not listening. We're going with Trump. He's going to lose. He's going to lose. He's going to lose. They're like, we love him anyway. And then he won. And so you can see from that why a lot of people have a tremendous amount of faith, not only in Trump, but dismiss a lot of the electability concerns because they heard it for so long. They literally went with their heart and they actually got what they wanted.
Well, and I think it also shows you, unsurprisingly, the way the interests of the donor class and the interests of the base do not necessarily align.
Good point.
For the base, do they really expect to get anything out of Washington? Whether it's Trump or Biden or whoever, who is there at the White House, they don't really expect these people to be able to improve their lives. With Trump, they feel like at least they get the fight and the, triggering the libs that sort of bolsters them and, is something that they enjoy to watch unfold. Well, the donor class, they do expect to get something out of the occupant of the White House. They want to get their tax cuts. They want to get their breaks. They want to get their subsidies. They want to get that special treatment that they are well and accustomed to. So for them, electability is kind of everything because they want to buy in on the winning ticket so they can get whatever goodies it is that they want to further fatten their own bottom lines. So there is a real divide in terms of the interests of these two groups of people. On the electability piece, I mean, maybe he's right and maybe he's not, because certainly that 6-week abortion ban is going to be in every Democratic ad if you were the nominee going into the fall. And we've seen the way that that has turned into an extremely potent issue for Democrats in election after election after election. I think to me, it's very up in the air which of these men is more electable. We don't have an element for it, but there was a focus group, the results of which were just published this morning, of voters who voted for Trump in 2016 and then voted for Biden in 2020. And basically everybody in the group hates both of them. Biden, they offered up were, weak, tired, like the things that you would expect. But when you asked about Trump, the emotions were even stronger. It was like terrified, horrible, right? Horrifying. These are not the exact words, but you can get the sense of like, one was like, I'm not really crazy about this guy and I'm not sure he's up to it. And this one, it was like, this is a horror show and we absolutely can't go back there. So of that group of people, you still had a majority saying, yeah, I'm not crazy about Biden, but I'm going to stick with him. You had, I think, 3 who were going to go back to Trump. And you had 3 out of the 15 who were like, I'm either not going to vote or maybe I'll vote for a third party. This is the electability argument that the Biden team has always banked on, which is lesser of 2 evils. You may not like me, you may not want me to run, but you don't want to go back to this guy, Trump, either. And, you know, that's what they're hoping is going to work out for them. The one thing that I will say with regard to that focus group, I mean, number one, you're talking about 15 people, so always take it with a grain of salt. Number 2, Biden needed all 15 of those in order to defeat Trump last time around.
Yes.
So if you're losing 6 of those 15 either to third-party candidates or to Donald Trump, I'm not positive that math works out for him, because don't forget, this was a very close race that came down to, you know, tens of thousands of votes in a handful of states. It was not a landslide.
The other problem for DeSantis is that even though I do believe he would be a strong general election candidate, I'm not sure that he would win, but I do think that he would be strong, just because he would be stripped of some of the stop the steal nonsense, and he would at least, at the very least, have to contest only on abortion. And I'm not saying that he wouldn't lose that too, but I think it would be stronger ground, whereas Trump has to deal with both of them. Well, the problem, though, is that to coalesce all these people together, he needs the entire Never Trump coalition, maybe not Trump coalition, and some of the Trump coalition. And what's the issue? Put this up there on the screen. Many Republicans who are in the party at the elite level don't necessarily think he can do it. We're about to talk about Chris Christie and Tim Scott and Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley and Chris Sununu and Asa Hutchinson and apparently this guy, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, wants to run.
Literally never heard of before.
Never even heard of this guy. Apparently he wants to run. Glenn Youngkin just put out a video which makes him look like he might run, even though he says he might not run. A lot of people are itching for that lane, because it's one of those, why not me? Why shouldn't I be the alternative to Trump? Why should we all coalesce around DeSantis? Don't forget this either. The Republican Party does not have the Obama equivalent of the Democrats. The Democrats had Obama, who called Buttigieg and Klobuchar and was like, hey, you guys got to get out of here. It's over. You're dropping out of the race. You're endorsing Biden. And they said, okay, we're going to do it. And because that made it very, very easy for him to come in and to, beat Bernie on Super Tuesday. Well, the split field from 2016, we literally had a movie where this all played out, Krystal. Republican Party officials desperately wanted John Kasich, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio. They were like, all but one of you needs to drop out. We need to coalesce around a Trump alternative. And not one of them would do it. And nobody is strong enough in the party, like Romney, who had no credibility. McCain was barely alive. Like, none of them had any of the credibility to call them and be like, you need to drop out. So there's no there's no forcing function. And as long as a lot of them have donors and at least one delusional billionaire to back your campaign, you're good to go. You can just keep running. So I think that it's the same, tragedy, or what was it, tragedy of errors, like comedy of errors, and prisoner's dilemma that happened in 2016, which is playing out exactly the same way now.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.